And we're singing. We're singing. Time to talk. Beauty and the Bitch.
Mick.
Morgan.
Like, if you were going to have to be an inanimate object to, I don't know, hide from a professor that wanted to come and give you a job that was totally shit, didn't pay well, and also you might get murdered, like that sort of situation you're in? Like, what kind of object?
Dildo.
Okay, now are we talking big black dildo you stick on your door to make me uncomfortable when I walk out of my bedroom?
That's the one.
Very frequently for 4 years of my life.
That's the one. That's
just
what I
like
would be.
that.
That's
okay.
What, you know why? Because if you just see a dildo sitting somewhere, very rarely do you pick up that dildo. People are like, girl, I know where that dildo's been. I'd be completely safe.
Well, to be honest, that goes right along with what I was going to do is be a used tampon. Nobody's going to pick her up.
Not queen. Not queen.
Nobody but, like, a dog. Dogs are simultaneously precious and awful. You know what
They're
I mean?
into used tampons?
You know they are.
You have stories from your dogs getting in your waistband, don't you?
I will not confirm nor deny this scenario.
Speaking of used tampons.
Yeah, let's talk about her.
We have a gorgeous guest here today.
I would like to clarify that I am not just any used tampon.
She's actually a diva cup.
Yes.
Well, that's just as fitting. I was going to say that I was a tampon soaked in glitter and then covered in mold. You know.
Wouldn't that hurt once you stick that up your vagina?
I mean,
It's not for
enemies.
use, it's for view.
Oh.
Okay, it's for the gram.
It's an
Hashtag
art
do it for the gram.
statement.
Hi, I'm Ashley, and I'm on this podcast.
And she does it for the gram.
You're welcome.
Yes, we're back here with Ashley, second time guest. Thank you for coming back again to talk about one of our collectively favorite topics, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
Yeah.
Half-blood tampon.
Yeah, girl. Now that's the kind where you're like, I should have left in longer. Tampons are expensive.
What a waste.
But speaking of this horrible conversation we've begun, we're going to go in a different, very much more magical direction.
Yes.
Today with me, who is Morgan. And you are?
I'm Mick. My name is Mick. I exist.
He totally exists, but also the patriarchy is real, so forget about him. Oh, okay, Bernice.
Queer voices silenced everywhere you look.
Oh, you can never win. No, but really, we want to hear everything that you have to say and everything that Ashley has to say, and obviously everything that I have to say, because we have legitimately excessive amounts of feelings about Harry Potter, and that is why we're turning this into a two-part episode. You heard that right. We have 2 parts of feelings. We have the top part and the bottom part, and don't neglect either, honey.
Girl, tops and bottoms, everyone's welcome.
I feel like we should be charging more for this.
Yes! Or charging something!
Yeah. Right now we're doing this for $10,000 per listen, but if you're getting this for free, don't tell those other people.
Yeah. The Russian
We're
oligarchs.
waiting on your Venmo.
Hit us up.
Okay, so we thought that we would start this episode, or this duo of episodes, with a 2-minute recap.
Oh, damn.
Now, this is a 2-minute recap of Harry Potter 6. And we asked Ashley to do it, and Ashley said, fuck you bitches. You didn't even ask me to come. We actually kidnapped Ashley. Ashley is tied to their chair. Yeah.
Free me.
She's just like a fucking house elf. Like, we asked you to sit there and shut the fuck up. Did nobody give you no clothes?
No, but they did give me pizza and wine, so it's fine.
You're welcome.
That's true, but you can't wear that. Well, I guess you could.
You could. That's a statement.
That's true.
I think
I
it looks
support
good
you.
on you.
You're not free!
You did say earlier that we were nothing but meat sacks, so...
He stands by
I did
that.
say that off air, and I do stand beside that. That's factual.
Okay, so I have picked up the slack that Ashley has left. I honestly don't even know why I invited her at this point.
I'm a diva. We've established this, okay?
Diva cup.
Oh, hey.
As in fill up my cup.
Well, my cup is half empty, so I'm going to try to fill it up with a 2-minute recap. Okay, so I have queued up my dumb fucking thing here that's going to tell us how long I talk for. Ashley?
It's called a cell phone.
Okay, I didn't want to be bougie.
What do they think that you're using? Who even has clocks anymore?
I know. No.
My stopwatch.
We're using a rotary phone to time Morgan for this 2 minutes.
60 turns should get us there.
You mean
it's like
69?
A fucking time. Oh, 69 turns will get you there, girl. Solid advice. Okay,
so 2 minutes, Morgan.
Really,
I want you to collect yourself.
Da-da.
Give me like a time.
Da-da.
Like, we'll get to 1 minute. I've got 1 minute left. 30 seconds. Okay.
Da-da.
Okay. Okay, so we start out the Half-Blood Prince with some shady fucking business. We got Snape going to visit, like, Narcissa Malfoy and her sister Bellatrix. Like, go to his muggle-ass house in a muggle-ass neighborhood, which we'll talk about later. And they be talking some mad noise about the Dark Lord. Okay. And then it's like, what's going on? And she's like, I bet you won't make the unbreakable vow. And he's like, bitch, watch me. And then he does it, which was dope as fuck. And then we move forward, and we learn a little bit about Harry. So he's really sad because Sirius died. But we also learn a lot of stuff, like he inherited all the shit from him because he was, like, his godfather, and he had no other people left in his family. So there's a lot of drama with that, okay? And then he runs into, like, or whatever, he goes to stay with, like, the Weasleys and stuff, but Dumbledore is like, before you do that, I have some shit to tell you, and you're gonna go with me, and they go meet Slughorn, and he's like, oh, you have to talk to Slughorn and convince him to come, and he's like, okay, I don't really know why, but then they do convince Slughorn, who's like, I'm an inanimate object, I have 1 minute, okay, and whatever, and they go to the Weasleys, and then he's like, oh, damn, did y'all see Ginny? And he's like, I wanna hit it, and then Ron's like, do you think Hermione's a girl? And Harry's like, what? And then they go back to school, and then he gets punched by Draco on the train, and then a bunch of shit happens, and Draco's being shady, and he sees him in Borgin and Berks, and he's like, that motherfucker, and nobody believes him, and they're doing, and he's gonna take lessons with Dumbledore, and then he learns about Felix Felicis, and then he discovers this book because he can take potions, even though he did bad on his test scores, which I think is a sham, and then he goes and he learns all these spells, and then it turns out later it's gonna be Snape, and then Dumbledore's like, I have all these lessons for you, I'm gonna teach you some things, and he's like, okay, and then whatever, they're looking for Horcrux, and he doesn't even know, and then he has to get this memory out of Dumbledore, and then out of Slughorn, and then he finally gets the memory out of Slughorn when he decides to use the Felix Felicis, and then whatever, later, he gets kicked out of Quidditch, but then he wants to make out with Ginny, and so then he does, and then Ron's like, what? Meanwhile, Ron's been fucking loving her Brown, and Hermione is pissed, and then that eventually resolves itself, but that was really cute, and then turns out Draco was trying to kill Dumbledore, but then Snape was like, I guess I'll just take care of it, and then they go and they get their first Horcrux, and Harry's like, I don't know what that is, and then Snape kills Dumbledore, and Harry's like, fuck this, and he's like, Jenny, also R.I.P., you're dead, and we're done.
Wow.
Good job, Morgan.
That was really stressful for me, and I did not do an excellent job, but I did an okay job.
It was outstanding.
Oh, thank you.
I would give you a solid 3 out of 10.
Okay, I'll take it.
Which is generous for me.
Well,
that's
he's
generous.
Very rude.
No, actually, no, that's very difficult. It's hard to do a whole book in 2 minutes. You did a good job.
I feel dead now.
I came. It's fine.
Okay. Are you finished? You want to go pass out on the couch for a
I'll
little?
see y'all later.
Ah, got what I needed.
The diva cup is filled.
No, the cup runneth over.
So there's a lot to talk about in this book. A lot happens.
No, I think we covered it.
Well,
And that's it. Give us our $10,000 now.
there's a lot to talk about more slowly then, let's say. So let's just start off with, Ashley, is this your favorite book in the series?
Lord, no, I think.
No.
No.
Well, your number 5 is your favorite?
No. Chamber of Secrets was my favorite.
Number 2 is your favorite.
Numero dos.
How does this book fit into your personal tops bottoms of Harry Potter? Like, where is it for you? Because I have a very definite opinion, but I'm going to wait because mine's very bad.
I have a very middle ground opinion, so this will be good.
Okay.
I have a middle ground opinion as well. I think it'd probably rank 3rd for me, and I'm going to let you know why. So I feel like this book was definitely a bigger turning point. Like, it was a more negative, not negative, but like darker story. And there's a lot of brooding feelings. But we talked about this earlier, it does take a while to kind of speed up. And there's a lot of frustrations in the book that I think stem from the overall ignorance and youthfulness of the characters, which I think is what makes it a difficult book to really like, but also makes it a really shit movie, because there's so much that's being built up over time.
And they put that, like, hashtag green filter on top of it, where everything's, like, gray and despondent.
Yeah, it just, a lot of it feels disjointed and slow. And I love the writing in this book. I think the writing in this book stands out to me more than any of the books so far in my reread. And this is the last book that I finished in my reread of the series. And it definitely stands out to me in terms of her writing style and just the most eloquent and beautiful written sentences that I've ever read.
Which I think is a testament to Harry's character arc, too, because now he's, like, suffered... Like, his parents died or whatever, but now he's suffered, like, real tangible loss. And, like, now he has this, like, relationship hurdles, especially with Dumbledore, which is very frustrating.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. For me, I have to say, depending on the day, I don't know what number it is specifically, but I think it's always in my bottom 3 as far as like story arcs. Just because I have like, not because I think it's bad at all, but I think like what you said, like it can be slow because it's a lot of like character building. But once we're 6 books deep with our characters, like when we spend a lot of time character building, it can feel monotonous, even though we have to like remember, you know, they're going through a lot. They're changing like physically and mentally, like drastically when they're 16 years old. Like they have a lot going on top of like trying to save the world and like whatever, all that other bullshit. So for me on any given day, it's always going to be my bottom 3, but not because I think it's super bad, but just because for me, it's one of the least rereadable as far as like things I want to pick up and reread personally.
So this is really fascinating because we have... we all kind of agree, but we also, you and I actually have a bit of difference of opinion because this is by far...
What's new?
I know, right? Welcome to the world.
Male privilege.
This is by far my least favorite of the Harry Potter books, like by far. I remember this is the only one that when I read it, when it came out, I put it aside and I said, I didn't like that. I did not like that book. I think that first, I'm over all of the romance that we get in this book. Maybe because there's absolutely no queer romance.
Which
so
is
I
fair.
felt not
Totally
invited into
stupid.
the conversation. Thank you, my friends, for supporting me on that.
Would it have been hot if Neville was gay and he like...
It would have been so hot if Neville was
It would
gay.
have
Yes.
been everything.
Or if he was like questioning in this book and then he
Neville
got the
and
glow up.
Seamus.
Yes.
Neville and Seamus.
Or-
I would have shipped that so hard because Seamus is like this, like, wow,
Yes.
man.
Is that the Irish one?
Yeah.
He's very like machismo, like
Yeah,
Irish
no,
machismo,
yeah, Irish
but
machismo.
maybe under that there's like a bottom yearning to be free.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
hot. Or I would take anybody. I don't fucking care, girl. Give me what's the the groundskeeper? What's him?
Filch? No,
I'll take him.
baby.
Girl, we ain't got nobody else. Well, who that?
Honey,
I'm
you are
not-
so much
beggars can't be
better than
choosers.
Phil.
I know I'm better. But
I
I'm
would
just saying.
Never swipe right
I
on
think
Filch.
like a Neville and like a George Weasley or a Lee Jordan pairing would be really charismatic.
I think if one of the twins had been queer,
Which,
I think
why
that would have
not?
been really lovely.
I do. You know what? I'm glad that you brought this up, and I'm glad that you brought it up now because that is one of my biggest gripes against this book is the lack of representation when it comes to romance and who people love, and it does feel very forced. And even though I know, and we'll get into this later, you know, Hermione didn't end up with Harry, right? She's with Ron, and so there's that edge of, okay, this isn't as storybook as it could be. That is something that's missing, and I'm glad that you said something.
Oh, thank you, Ashley. It's, you know, now Morgan knows this, and you probably know this too, because I know you listen sometimes, but it is one of the few topics that I will go online and I will fucking troll people if they disagree with me about this topic because it makes me really pissed off. But I'm not going to repeat my whole thing about how Dumbledore's gay, but he's not
bullshit.
really gay. But it's all bullshit. Anyway, so okay, I was over the romance, right? I was emotionally distraught that Dumbledore dies at the end. Like I was
too.
for that reason I didn't like it, just because it was painful. I'm not saying that was like bad plot wise, but
It hurt.
It hurt my little heart. And then 3, and this is one that is very debatable because I haven't reread. I didn't reread for this. I just rewatched the movie and did research. But I remember after I finished this book, I was like, I don't like the writing. Which is funny because you were saying, and of course equally valid, that is the writing that spoke to you the most out of the whole series. And I remember after finishing this book, I was like, you know, what is the plot of this book? There is a plot. But it doesn't really start at the beginning, though.
No,
it starts
it
like
jumps
halfway
around.
through. Yeah.
With Snape being a fucking Death Eater, and then we get to spend the whole book questioning
It's like
his
an
allegiances.
Uber pool, you know? Like, it takes you there, and then it stops, and then you gotta pick someone up, and then you gotta drive a little bit, and then drop them off.
And they're like,
and you're waiting,
speaking
you
of
gotta
Tom
get to the
Riddle,
airport,
let's talk about
you
the
know?
orphanage.
Yeah. It's the
very
Uber
much
pool of
that.
books.
Or I sometimes think of it as the, you know, everyone has that drawer in their kitchen where they just put shit that doesn't fit
We
somewhere.
don't talk about that drawer.
Oh, that drawer is very dangerous.
That's
it's a messy-ass
hilarious.
drawer.
You're comparing this book to that drawer. That is so
I
amazing.
will say this
Yeah.
about the writing style. My favorite quotes, and I pulled a lot of them for this,
Aw.
they were hidden. They were in some insignificant characters' rambling or little monologue that he was having with someone else or she was having. And that is where I was like, wow, she's a really good writer. And it was on my reread that I discovered that. So maybe you just need to like go back through and look through. But to be fair, when it comes down to plot and story arcs and character arcs, I think that we are all in agreement that this book did kind of lack a little.
And you know what's funny about that? I do think we're in agreement on that. J.K. Rowling, I read this interview where she was like, when I finished Half-Blood Prince, I was more satisfied with this book than I'd been with number 5, number 4, or number 3.
You know
which
what,
I'm
though?
shocked about that.
But even though, like, I mean, for the sake of so many words, like, a lot of things didn't happen. Like, it all kind of focused around light introduction of new characters, right? We didn't really meet too many new people. But we did learn some big theories that we developed. So she'd been carrying around this idea of, like, Horcruxes since book 1. So for her to finally be able to put, like, that's such a central part of the entire fucking story. For her to be able to, like, you know, throw that up into a book and be like, oh my God, it's out there. Like, that must be relieving. I kind of understand that.
I think you're right, because she's definitely thinking from the writer's perspective.
She's got that long game.
Yeah, as opposed to the reader's journey.
You know, that's funny what you said about some of your favorite quotes coming from this book, because I think a really interesting thing about this book is that everything we've ever learned about Dumbledore has almost all been secondhand. We know almost nothing about Dumbledore until this book, like, from Harry's perspective, right? But we have this really great interaction with, like, the Minister of Magic, and there's, like, some other stuff. Is this the book where the Minister accuses him of being Dumbledore's man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't accuse him. He puts a shiny gold star on that head, and he says, you his boy.
Yeah. And then Harry gets to kind of, like, haughtily relay that to Dumbledore, and Dumbledore's like, oh, how very rude of him, or whatever. And then Harry's like, but I told him that I was. And then Dumbledore was like speechless and had, like, tears in his eyes. It's kind of sweet, because you think of him as this, like, kind of unshakable person, and we get so much vulnerability from him, starting with his appearance of, like, a dead fucking hand that he keeps being like, oh, we'll talk about that later, it's like no big deal or whatever. But it's also frustrating.
That's interesting that you just said that, because that was actually one of my talking points. Okay.
Oh, bulleted.
So I think that it's very interesting that in this book compared to the last, in the last book, he kept Harry in the dark. He was like, I'm not going to talk to you. Yeah, I'm not going to see you. You're going to get super frustrated with me. Do you think, because at the beginning of this book, Dumbledore knows. He knows he's going to die. Mm-hmm. Snape makes the unbreakable vow in the first chapter of this book, right? Or the second chapter of this book. Do you think that knowledge influenced the way that he handled his relationship with Harry? Because I think that it did.
Absolutely.
And that's why he was willing to share all that information. Because he didn't want to die and leave Harry thinking that he wasn't sharing with him, or he wasn't honest with him, or he didn't care. Because there were a lot of little things that he said and that he did that added up to this overall feeling for Harry of, oh my gosh, this is someone who's like a father figure to me. I finally have that family. All the feelings that he had with Sirius, he's now having with Dumbledore because he's not pushing him away. But it's also kind of fucked up because he knows he's going to die. And then he knows that Harry, again, 2 books in a row, 2 years in a row, is going to be dealing with fucking loss.
You know what, though? So you're about to start book 7 on your reread, or maybe you're already in it a little bit. So I'm 2 chapters away from finishing book 7. I'm, like, right at the very end of my reread, which is perfect timing for me to go see The Cursed Child in 2 weeks. Hey! But, so I have also another opinion about that, because he does share all this information, but he leaves so much of it so vague and, like, in a frustrating way. But then in book 7, when he, spoiler alert, comes back as, like,
What?
I'm a dead person, but we're going to have this conversation. He kind of explains, like, why he did it so vaguely, because he was all, oh, I needed you to learn this for yourself because I didn't. Basically, he was like, I personally chose Hallows over Horcruxes, and I wanted you to choose Horcruxes over Hallows, so I felt like you had to figure it out for yourself. But, oh my god, what if he hadn't figured it out? What, we just live in alternate universe, dark laurel, like, realm of, like, despair?
Well, I think it's just, I mean, and I love Dumbledore, and I don't want anyone to take this any other way, but he's manipulative AF. And
I was just thinking that. You're so right.
He's treachery, and he's sneaky, and he is shaping, as much as I kind of view Dumbledore as JK in the way that, she is shaping the story, and he is kind of her, because he's like the all-knowing, right? So he's kind of her little outlet for shaping that and shaping the minds of the characters. And I mean, you just hit the nail on the head with that, because he 100% manipulates the situation to make Harry have certain assumptions, whether that is for the greater good, which, probably was, I can't
Slogan
judge.
for the next book.
Yeah, but it definitely was premeditated.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that can be so can you imagine being Harry, being like, motherfucker, you brought me into this world. First of all, you pushed me out of this world. Then you brought me back into this world. Then you pushed me away. Then you bring me in. Then you gotta fucking die. And, I mean, that's fucked up.
Harry is a much more forgiving person than I would be. Because I'll tell you what,
yes.
when they brought me to Hogwarts the first year, and I'm a damn first year, I would have said, what in the hell? Did you put me with the Dursleys for 11 years? Everybody fucking knows my name. I could have been anywhere. I was getting beaten. I literally was being beaten.
Underfed.
Underfed. They were starving me. I literally, at that point, I would have said, Dumbledore, I will never trust you again. I'm not even kidding about that. That's the kind of person I am. Harry is a very forgiving person, because I wouldn't have just forgiven that. That is child abuse.
So...
Dumbledore.
I hear you guys on everything you're saying.
Didor.
This is, sorry about Harry's upbringing. This is more of a, this is more of a book 7 thing, but I just wanted to kind of like touch on it since we're talking about the Half-Blood Prince. The horrible upbringing that Harry was forced to suffer through is so, it's like, paralleled with a lot of how Snape was brought up, especially in a lot of the, but it's like Harry, there's like 2 ways that you could go. Harry went this like way of like kindness and like fortuitousness or whatever, and then like Snape went this way of like dark, sallow, like unhappiness. And like I swear to God, to me they're like 2 halves of the same coin, because even when they describe Snape came from like a broken home where like he was half blood, his mother was a witch and his dad was a muggle, and like it was implied that they were like abused for being like in this realm of magic, and he was like underfed, and that's why he's like so sunken and like greasy, and like they were poor and he had to wear clothes that didn't fit him.
Okay.
Girl, right?
He
and
does
like
for all
maybe
that.
a light powder. Just powder the face.
You
girl.
need some color, some bronzer.
Girl, let's get him some blush.
Dude, but that could have been Harry. Like, in any other world, that could have been Harry, but he went this, like, totally different way. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
We're going to talk in part 2 about strengths and weaknesses, which Ashley brought for us. And I think that's definitely, that's something I want to return to when we talk about strengths and weaknesses, because I think that's a good question. Why didn't Harry turn out like Snape? Like, why?
Because he's
I can think
dumb.
of some things. Well,
I think it's because of Lily, but we can get into that later.
yeah,
Because
there's
she's
a lot
pretty.
there.
She's precious.
So we were going to talk about some relationships, both familial and romantic in this book.
Let's do it.
Ready to go in there?
Yeah.
Ashley, you've got some stuff on familial relationships, right?
Are y'all ready?
Yes.
Oh, all right. So in the beginning of the book, we get Narcissa and Bellatrix walking over to Snape,
Sissy
and
and
they're
Bella.
like, they're like, all right, we're gonna go over here. Narcissa's like, I'm doing it, and Bellatrix like, what you doing? Don't do it. We
She's
can't
like,
do
bitch, listen to me, I'm scary.
I got color hair.
I'm married to Tim Burton!
You know she crazy.
Girl.
I just thought it was really interesting because little Sissy over here is acting like she's trying to protect her son. Bitch, you trying to protect your son? Don't fucking get him involved with the Dark Lord. Like, go move to another country.
I got
Hide under
feelings
a
about
hole.
this too, though.
That is bullshit. Don't act like you're trying to protect your child when you're forcing your 16-year-old child to commit a murder. First of all.
Not just any murder. Can I just say, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Ashley. Not just any murder, but a murder of the strongest wizard known.
Now, hold on.
That don't make no sense.
Let me
How
play
could
a
you
little
do that?
devil's advocate here. Okay. Imagine a world where you come from a pureblood family, like where the fucking Black Clan, which is where Bellatrix and Sissy come from, right? They're part of the Black family, where your only choice is excommunication or you marry in a pure blood family, you're presented with Lucius Malfoy. Perhaps he's attractive, perhaps he's kind as a young man, and then he grows up to be Lucius Malfoy, that motherfucker, and he has become your livelihood, and you perhaps can't find an exit. What does she do for work? We don't know. We know Lucius is a powerful ministry official. Maybe she's a stay-at-home mom. Maybe she's backed herself into a corner. Maybe she doesn't know what to do. Oops, her husband happens to be a Death Eater. Maybe she didn't approve that, but it's the life that she belongs to, and she can't run away from it. And then maybe Draco gets dragged in, and then he is assigned this task, and she has no other thing to do but support it because death is the only alternative. Like, there's no, like, hiding Draco.
But death truly was the only outcome. If she would have never approached Snape about this and she would have completely subscribed to that theory, Draco would have died trying to kill Dumbledore. Not because Dumbledore would have killed him, but Harry probably would have. You know, or someone else who was defending Dumbledore. And I just think it's bullshit. I'm sorry. If you're a mother and you have a child, you're going to do whatever you can to protect your child and give them the life that you want them to have, especially if it's a life that you're being forced into. So my whole deal about family dynamics with that is that Sisty's like, "Wah, my baby." And Bellatrix is like, I don't trust this motherfucker. And she was right. Every concern that she had was valid. And you know what? I gotta give it to her. She cunty, but she's smart, girl. She very fucking smart. And she knew that he couldn't be trusted. And the only thing that Snape had to say was, what, you think the Dark Lord's not smart enough? And what is she going to say to that? I mean, she can't say,
because he's the only person she trusts. The only person.
So that family dynamic is a little interesting to me. Another family dynamic that we see really play out in this book is Ron and Ginny. And Ginny had a rebirth. The bitch is back. She's like, fuck you, I'm me.
She's like, welcome to my C-cup bra.
Yeah.
Hello, fellas, I am available.
Welcome to my diva cup.
Yes.
No pregnancy for me.
Girl.
Yeah, and, you know, even when they go back to Hogwarts, she's like, oh, no, I'm not going to be going to that with you. I'm going to go with Dean, or I'm going to go sit with my friends. Like, fuck y'all.
She doesn't need that fool.
Yeah, she puts that separation, and she kind of becomes this cool girl. And Ron turns into the biggest wuss puss ever.
Yeah, like suddenly he's like big macho brother, like I care about what happens with you. Bitch, where you been for the last 5 years? She's been doing her thing.
He didn't rescue her from the Chamber of Secrets.
That's what I was just thinking. A basilisk was literally about to eat her face off. Where was Ron? Who cares?
Now when she gets a metaphorical basilisk, he wants to come and cockblock that shit. Not cool.
She wants to be frozen this time. She's into it. Girl, freeze me with passion.
Forever.
Ooh. I think that Ron really sucks this book. This is my least favorite Ron book.
Ron really sucks this book and the first half of the next book.
Yes, he does. He comes through it, and I like Ron in the end. You know, he's one of my favorite characters.
He comes back because he owns his character flaws, too. Like, when he comes back, he's like, here's what's shitty about me. We all know I'm real sorry. My bad. I love you. And everyone's like, we forgive you.
Yeah, which is
all you can do, because you're going to love people with shitty character
right?
traits, but you just love them anyways.
Exactly. It's just like how you have so many friends.
Okay. Wait.
What? You're just lovable. See? Now that's exactly it. Everyone always thinks I'm mean. Sometimes I'd be sweet.
I am very popular.
I was going to make
We don't have time for you guys to make out and cry right now, okay?
But we really don't. We're at minute 27.
Okay, so let's talk... Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have more family?
Like,
family stuff?
Myself? Yeah, I've got a huge family.
So,
no, I mean...
she's a Latina.
Okay.
Stereotypes. Did you have more family stuff from Harry Potter? I just didn't want to cut you off.
You know... George and Fred, or Fred and George. They are thriving. So, like, Fred and George are definitely a very light, airy shift. They're, like, a little fun part of the book, and they're only sprinkled in maybe 2 or 3 times throughout the book.
Not enough.
Never
enough.
I think it's a nice reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is light, and there are people out there that are trying to send out good vibes, which honestly is a really good idea for everyone out here who is living in Trump's America.
Yeah. They're almost like perfect in every way. Like,
those suits they wear are ugly as fuck, though.
Well, they gotta have one back.
You know what, bitch? It's the Wizarding World. No one look cute other than Draco.
That's
he
true.
looked fresh as fuck.
Oh,
look at those bills.
I'm with you there. This was the movie where I was rewatching the movie and I was like,
Okay.
Draco.
Tom Felton shakes
Draco?
up. I follow him on the gram too.
Oh, and I love how he walks around being all tortured and sad. Oh my god,
Sassy.
that's my type.
I
That
like
is
when
my
they quit
type.
slicking his hair back and they're just like messy
All
tossle.
disheveled.
Just do it.
But I agree. You know, I think family and familiar relationships are actually really sweet in this book in general. Even Bella and Narcissa, Bellatrix and Narcissa. It was nice to see Bellatrix genuinely caring about Narcissa and being like, "Girl,
Honestly,
don't
didn't
do
know it was
this."
possible.
Yeah, I didn't know she had a good side.
Girl. But it was also great to see Snape putting her in her place.
Bitch,
Right.
get in line.
Loved it.
So, what do y'all think about the romantic? We've touched on it a little bit, the romance in this book. I was not about it, and let me tell you first. I'm gonna out myself here, and I'm girding my loins. I'm
Okay.
ready, but
Okay.
I don't like Harry and Ginny together. I don't like it. I don't support it.
I'm not going to say them's are fighting words, but you are dead to me. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, and I feel you, and there's a bomb under your car.
What's weird is, okay, first of all, we'll get back to that because I'm still making car payments for 4 years, so I can't be having that. But there is a pretty big divide in the Potter universe between this Harry and Ginny / Harry and any other situation. Some people love it, some people hate it. I happen to be in the camp of our Lord and Savior, Mrs. Rowling, has created this love for us for a very specific purpose, and I feel it. Ashley, you feeling it?
I feel it, and I'll tell you why. I think that young love, especially, like, think back to your first love. You weren't very communicative because you were just like,
You were weird as
learning.
fuck.
Yeah, you were weird, and things were very under the covers, kind of hidden meaning kind of thing. Like, oh, he looked at me too long. He loved me. That kind of stuff. And I think that that's why this relationship feels forced and it feels awkward because it should be. That's what relationships at that age are like. But at the end of the day, these children are dealing with very real issues. And Harry and Ginny have a bond. They both have dealt with being overtaken by the Dark Lord.
He saved her.
He saved her life when she was a young baby. She's always had a crush on him. She's
Always.
always been like, oh
And
my
it was
God.
never about the power. It was
No.
never because he was the chosen one or this famous kid. She just felt a connection.
He was her older brother's friend, and she was like,
Oh, and
"Ooh,
girl,
he
you know
trained
that's
me."
special.
Yeah, you know that's special. And then it actually turned out to be the real deal because she grew up into this person who never looked at his fame. I mean, you think about that, any other girl that Harry would have encountered throughout his entire life would have been chasing that coin. She would have been chasing that fame. She would have been a Lavender Brown, like a Romilda Vane. You know, she trying to have her moment. She wanted to be the Real Housewives of, I don't know.
Waverly Place.
You know, she wanted to be on Andy Cohen's couch.
I would watch that fucking show.
BRB about to send Andy Cohen a drop
What
tweet.
are we doing with our life? That is literally the show we should
so
be creating.
good.
I know.
Okay, and you know what? I see all that, and you know what? Good point, y'all. I see where you're coming from that. Let me say, though, there is one other woman in the Harry Potter series who doesn't come to Harry for his fame, and who I would have preferred.
Don't say Hermione.
No, not Hermione.
Okay, go on.
Miss Luna Lovegood. That's who I wanted Harry to end up with.
Luna, that precious little baby.
I wanted Harry to be with Luna. I always did. Since like book 5, I think. Not always, but since like book 5. Because I think Luna is one of the best people in the series. I'm a huge Luna Lovegood fan.
She's the best.
And
She's Morgan's spirit animal, I think.
She's so great. I'm
Yes.
obsessed.
she's so amazing. She's such a good person.
There's
And-
no one else more their selves, quote unquote, than she is, unapologetically at all times.
Absolutely. And I like the fact that she's an outcast, he's an outcast for different reasons. Like, he's like a positive outcast, and she's kind of a negative outcast, if that makes sense. But
Yeah, he's like the cool guy in the leather jacket that everyone's like, we think he killed his mom. But really, like, his mom died when he was really young.
Exactly. And she's just like the fucking weirdo with dandruff eating pixie sticks. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Like in the corner. But I love that she came from not knowing Harry at all. So Ginny had time to grow with Harry and
She
be like,
did.
he's more. You're right. She never came for him for his fame. That was never the reason. But even if she had, that probably would have lessened over the years, right? But Luna, the minute she met him, I forget what their intro talk was, but it wasn't essentially like...
They met in the compartment on the train. She was reading the Quibbler upside down. I think actually Ginny introduced her. Ginny was like, oh, you guys, this is Luna.
Yeah, and she almost called her Looney, right?
Yeah,
or something.
she did.
Bitch.
But Luna Lovegood never came for Harry for his fame either. And she just met him random, so I always
She was like, oh, you're Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I'm Luna Lovegood.
Yeah.
Narwhals are real. And he was like, dope.
And she understood depth of him. I could see how you shipped that. I really can.
They definitely had a connection.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But again, girls can be friends with dudes, and that was just one of those situations.
I think, I read one time... I read like a where are they now situation as far as like where did the characters end up, because she did write like not canon like stories, but like on Pottermore and like other places she was like little tidbits of like here's what happened to this character and who this person ended up with, because like in the 7th book I think Neville was in love with Luna and at the very end he was like I'm gonna go tell her I love her, and so you would assume they would end up together, but they did not. She was like I'm good enough, thank you. But I think she does end up like living some fanciful, happy lifestyle where she gets to just be, like, crazy and oblivious forever, which is, like, great, and she would never be able to do that with Harry. He'd never be able to live a happy, oblivious life, ever. He'll always be the chosen one.
That's a good point.
And you see that in The Cursed Child with, like, how much it weighs on his children, like, how difficult their life can be. And actually, I think that's why Ginny's a really good match for him, because she's kind of a haughty bitch, especially starting in this book, where she stands up to Ron and she's like, you don't tell me what to do. Like, I'm my own bitch. I do my own thing. She goes on to be a famous seeker for the Chudley Cannons, and she goes on to do her own career, live her own life. Meanwhile, Harry's, like, at home taking care of their kids and, like, being fucking, like, her husband on the side. Like, her life's not about him. Her life's about what she wants to do, which I think is real.
INDEPENDENT.
Woman!
Independent.
Oh.
Wow.
That was difficult for me.
Excuse me, Holly. We have a moment for his brain.
But I like this alternate universe Luna relationship. I would read the shit out of that fan fiction.
Yes. Luna is in charge of everything. Should be in charge of everything. Well, let me tell you this. Did y'all read about J.K. Rowling saying that she wishes she had put Hermione and Harry together?
Now, let me tell you about this. That's not what she had said.
Oh, she sure enough did say that.
But she didn't. No, she said that basically, she said she explored the idea of Harry and Hermione being together, and like in hindsight, their relationship would have made the most sense. She didn't say she wished that they had been together.
She did say, though, that if she had rewritten it, she would have put them together.
I don't think she did say that.
Oh, Queen, you're going to have me fact-checking. You're going to have me fact-checking.
I'm going to pause it.
Shit,
No, don't pause it. Just keep talking.
So, I don't think that she did say that. I felt like what she said is, in hindsight, like, it was the thing that made the most sense and it would have been the easy decision. But we don't love people for making the easy decision.
No. And
that's why we hate America. Fuck you. Why'd you vote for Trump?
And what would have happened to Ron?
Fuck
He would kill himself.
Fuck him.
Yes, he would, girl. Yes,
That's what I'm
he
saying,
would.
though. Like, he would have been so left out. He would have been left out in the cold. See, Harry can be the outcast because he's always pushing them away. Even at the end of the book, he's like, y'all ain't gotta come with me. I'm gonna go do this on my own.
And Hermione's like, but we'll come.
Yeah, but like, we're your friends. We do this together. This is how we do this thing.
He's like, ugh, quit being so pushy.
But Ron wouldn't have been able to take that because he's so sensitive and he has like such a small, like, little ego.
He's fragile.
Yeah.
He's the most fragile, for sure.
Which is porcelain.
But regardless, I think Harry and Ginny...
I would just like to point out to the audience that Mick is putting on his bandana
And
headband
Googling.
right now, and he's getting on a Googling spree.
I'm going to do that. And if you prove me wrong, I will totally accept that. But what I will say about Harry and Ginny is that another reason that it's so perfect is because it's... in a lot of ways, it's the easy choice because it's the perfect union of their friendships and their relationships, because now Harry, Ron, and Hermione are family forever. And, like, as we know, because we love our friends sometimes more than our family in a lot of ways, we think of friends as family anyways, but I think that's a special way for them to, like, literally be family forever.
I think so.
What she did say. Read it verbatim. I'm ready
I found
for
a
it.
lot of stuff I didn't know in this moment, which is why my face is doing all kinds of, like, the Grinch moments
I'm
over here,
ready
big
for
smiles and
it.
shit. Okay, so first of all, Okay, this is what she says. The Sunday Times, February 1st, 2014.
Oh, damn!
I wrote the Hermione-Ron relationship as a form of wish fulfillment. That's how it was conceived, really. For reasons that have very little to do with literature and far more to do with me clinging to the plot as I first imagined it, Hermione ended up with Ron. I know, I'm sorry, she adds. I can hear the rage and fury it might cause some fans, but if I'm honest, distance has given me perspective. It was a choice I made for very personal reasons, not for reasons of credibility. Am I breaking people's hearts by saying this? I hope not. I think there were fans out there, too, who wonder whether Ron would have really been able to make her happy.
Oh, he would be a shit husband for sure.
Okay, so you were right though, actually, Maury. She didn't say like, oh, I wish I'd written it a different way. So kudos to you, girl, because you were right. She considers it and she sees why people might have. But here's what I was freaking out about. Funnily enough, I planned from the start that none of them would die. Then midway through, which I think was a reflection that I wasn't in a very happy place, I started thinking I might punish one of them out of sheer spite. In my absolute heart of hearts, I did seriously consider killing... Ron. That's what should have happened. I don't want Ron and Hermione together, or Harry and Hermione, but had they ended up together, Ron has to die.
If it had been Hermione,
because he would never have been happy.
Ron still would have killed himself if she had died.
Yeah, he would have died.
Ron would have died first, and then Harry and Hermione would have come together in the pain of losing their friend. That's what would have happened.
As in, reach orgasm at the same moment. Yes.
Which is what we usually do when we're hanging out.
Yes. It's right here. Good knowledge.
And I'm just over here like...
Oh, that's so sad. I thought female orgasms were supposed to be like way better though.
Well, it just like depends. It's like a range.
Sounds like another podcast episode.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to old Lavender Brown, y'all.
If we must. That was awkward. First of all, I think we all knew girls who were like pretty extra in our lives, but I had that net. Okay, you coming for me?
Okay,
I was not that extra. I was a great girlfriend. I never pressured you, except for the sex stuff, but that's okay. But like,
Morgan,
I never pressured you.
I'm sorry. We just have to be really honest right now. Every girl in her lifetime has been a Lavender Brown.
She is insane.
But she's a fictional character in a book. We have all been crazy like that. We all have been extra in one way or another and been like, oh, baby, one, wear my necklace. I love you. Doing creepy shit. Because that's what youthful dating is like. You're like weirdly attached for no reason. We've all been there.
So my friend Jessamine feels in some ways similar to you, Ashley, because she actually texted me a few days ago, and this was from a prior podcast. I think the one you were on, Ashley. I think we were talking shit about Lavender Brown, and my friend Jessamine out of nowhere texted me, and she was like, why do you hate Cho Chang and Lavender Brown?
Basic.
And I thought for literally a day about why I don't like them, and I finally wrote back, and I was like, they're just dumb auxiliary characters who, like, are not likable. Why do you like them is a better question, my dear sweet Jessamine. They're not very likable to me.
I think some aspects of Lavender are likable, but none of them revolve around her relationship with Ron.
None of them.
Her relationship with like the Pavarti, her best friend. They're
and
sweet.
Trelawney, right?
They're sweet together.
With Trelawney
I
together.
love that she like worships Trelawney, who's also fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But like that's sweet. But this Wan bullshit, like, the way Hermione feels about it, like, can you imagine if Ron was your friend, or your friend / the person you were secretly in love with? How awful.
Well, can you imagine if you had a crush on a guy, and then you finally get the balls to make out with him, and this girl who's been his friend forever, who's had plenty of chances to make her move, all of a sudden is like, that's my man, and, you know, you're just trying to, like, do you and get some with this guy you've had a huge crush on. It is very easily reversible. That whole, we're not talking about it yet, but that whole Ron and Hermione thing is super fucking annoying because she had all this time to say how she really feels, and they never really do. Ginny took more action, was more proactive about establishing that relationship than Hermione was.
Do you guys think that Lavender and Ron were fucking?
Yes.
Yes.
Ron has this age-old question. Do you think Hermione was snogging Crumb, yes, obviously, But do you think Hermione was fucking Ron, which I think is the real question?
I think we talked about this on the last episode that I was
I think
on.
we settled on probably not.
I think she did.
You did?
Oh, I think
Yeah.
we settled on yes.
I think we settled on yes.
Because I think she
And
did,
if we
for
didn't,
sure.
then I'm changing my answer because I totally think that she did because she...
Fourth year. How old are they? 15, 14?
11,
like
12,
15.
13, 14, 15. Yeah. I think they fucked.
Well, and he's older.
And he's
Maybe
older,
not.
and I think that she
famous.
realized, like, she always knew that she loved Ron, but I think that she knew it was going to be a while before they actually got together, and I feel like she's such a practical person that she's not the kind of person who's going to be like...
Plus, Crumb made her feel good.
Yeah, I'm just going to wait for the right guy. Like, she's not going to be like, I want to lose my virginity to Ron. She's going to say, okay, I'm going to seize the opportunity while I have it because who knows what will ever come of that, you know?
Because Ron's such a mess. I mean, I'm fine with them ending up together, but this is a fictional story. In real life, I don't think they would have ended up together because Ron's too much of a mess. He is too much of a mess. That boy doesn't know what he's feeling, how to show appreciation to anybody for anything. He's just dancing through life.
Here's what I think. In real life, they would have ended up together, but I think they would have had a very messy divorce. Because I think that's what young people do, in my experience. They live fast, they live hard, they do what they want to do, and especially when life and death, like, literally hang in the balance for them, like, there's, like, a literal war going on, I think they would seize the moment, very quickly get married, very quickly have children, embark on their path, and Hermione would very quickly realize that she could do better.
I think they would have divorced. I think, if nothing else, by the time she became Minister of Magic in the play, what's the play?
Cursed Child.
Cursed Child. I don't think Ron... I don't think he could keep up with her. She's too high-powered.
I think he'd be a good dad, though, weirdly.
I think that that's exactly right. He would be a good dad. I think actually that they would turn out together because I think going through all of this, losing a brother, you know, experiencing all this loss, losing Dumbledore, seeing Harry go through everything, there's no way that he's going to come out of the situation and not be a little bit more refined. Yeah, that's just an innate character trait of his, but I do think that he would be wiser and he would appreciate those things. And he has such a great relationship model in his life with his parents' marriage.
His parents are great.
Which are amazing, and I think that would have really helped shape that. And I don't think that she wants someone who's necessarily on her level or just as...
Well, she definitely wants to feel like she's better than him forever.
Yeah.
She
wants to boss
and
him
she
around.
needs that.
Yeah.
She needs that. That's
she
what
deserves
works for
that.
her.
And she is better. So
Y'all-
why not? Let her be in charge.
He did. He did kind of start to go the extra mile. You remember in or maybe you don't remember, in book 7 he gives Harry a birthday present, and it's a book about, like, wooing witches. And he was like, I've been reading it to, you know, try to win over, and then he's like, never mind, we don't talk about this. Which, first of all, it's fucking weird that they don't talk about, like, who they want to fuck. Like, they don't have time to, like, do dude talk. Like, I don't know what kind of friends they are.
Talk about that.
Yeah,
They
so that was weird for me.
But do boys who are trying to save the world talk about that?
They should.
wouldn't know.
It
Yeah.
could be cathartic.
Okay, sex
But-
ed was not a class at Hogwarts.
Oh,
That's true.
definitely. But if it was, Gilderoy Lockhart would have taught it.
Lord. And Romilda Vane would have been the front row.
She would have
I
been
love me some
teacher's
Romilda.
pet.
It would have been the blow up doll.
Let me tell you, in real life, Romilda Vane would own that school. In the movie, that bitch was gorgeous.
Yeah.
They showed a shot, and I was like, she's the star of this movie. Everyone else step aside. Let Romilda Vane come through.
Hashtag where is she now?
Hashtag I
Ooh.
want to be Romilda.
Oh, you are. Useless in a background character.
And pretty.
I'll take it. I will take it.
Do we have any other relationship-related questions? Who else is, like, getting together?
Well, I will say I like Ginny and Dean together because Dean done got hot in this movie. I don't know if y'all remember, but he's like 18 feet tall in this movie.
He's a very tall person.
But I would just like to say, I remember from the book, the Ron and Lavender business seemed to last much longer
Oh, it
than
did.
in the movie.
It went
Which is why I
on.
think they fucked.
Yes, me too. Because they were together for like more than a semester, weren't
And
they?
they first
Yeah.
got together because she just like ran up to him and grabbed his face and made out with
Yes.
him. So there ain't no
Oh,
way
and
she
then they
giving
went
that
to
shit
find
up.
a secret room, but Hermione was already in that secret room crying.
And then
Girl,
she
why they
attacked
need a
him with them
secret room?
birds.
Yeah,
Girl.
she told him.
That should have been the moment when Ron went home and said, Hermione seemed very upset I kissed
No,
someone
actually,
else."
I wrote this down. He said, I'm a free agent, which is exactly everything that is wrong with men, okay? You've been chasing after this girl, pining for her, having this whole will they, won't they thing. And then now that this random hoe just comes up to you and makes out with you, instead of being like, that was fun, girl, but I'm about to go, he's my true love because now I have confidence. You're like, I'm a free agent.
But he was ready
Fuck
to
you, no
get
one's
his
buying.
dick wet. Lavender was DTF.
And you know
men
Hermione-
don't think with their hearts, girl.
Hermione was not going to be giving up
Not to Ron.
anything. Not immediately.
Plus,
like that.
he probably, even though he kept saying, "Do you think Hermione snogged Crumb? Snogged Crumb?" He was probably in the back of his head thinking, like, she done fucked him, and I'm gonna go fuck someone else too. Like, I'm
It
sure it
was
was like a
definitely a revenge
revengeful
fuck thing,
Yeah.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah. So
I think
it
part
did
of the
go on
problem,
for too long.
I mean, we've talked before about how Rowling tries to avoid like very adult topics, and I think actually that's kind of what cheapens and makes their relationship a little irritating. Maybe cheapen's the wrong word, but you know, we're talking about how they're irritating together. It's because a lot of the deeper issues, like you fucked her, so I'm gonna fuck him, or vice versa, or whatever. Like she doesn't cover any of that stuff. So at the end of the day, you're left with they're stupid teenagers being stupid puppy love, but. I think it's more.
I would love to read some fan fiction that was like Hogwarts Under the Sheets, and I know that we talked
Oh,
about
it's
this
out there.
before,
Oh,
but
queen.
okay, well, not like, you know,
Everybody
explicit.
fucking everybody.
Not explicit, but like really, like you said, the underlying adult topics that weren't covered from her perspective, because I think that would be like really cool
Oh
to
my
read.
god.
Yeah.
I want to
think so,
know all the tea.
From Hermione's perspective, you mean? Or Lavender Brown's? That would be interesting.
Ooh, Lavender and Pavardi's like Gossip Girl burn book, Hogwarts
Yeah.
edition. Ooh, girl, I'll be there
'Cause,
for it.
you know, we love Hermione because we're in her head, but
she's
if you
kind of
were-
a cunt.
If you weren't Hermione's friend, I could
She
see
kinda
being
tea.
like, I don't like her.
Yeah.
No, she's a
mean.
know-it-all.
Big tooth, bushy hair, scallywag, no hair in the bag, bitch.
Oh, girl, read her to Phil.
But why she's so smart? Fuck her.
Yeah.
Pull her down. I ain't gonna lift her up. I'm not into it. I'm pulling her down.
She doesn't. Have,
Crabs in a box.
she doesn't really have any other friends.
No.
Either.
And well,
Just
even at
Harry
the
and
beginning,
Ron.
they didn't want to be her friends. So,
Oh, that was
you know, she
sad.
annoying AF.
That was sad.
Speaking of having friends, you had this question, Ashley, I thought was fascinating, and it might be a good way to end up this first half.
Yes, let's round up part one.
Now, if you were going to take the NEWTs, what does that stand for? New English Witcher's Test, seriously.
No, it's
Never
Something
ever.
exams. Wizarding.
National Exams Wizarding Test Service.
Shit, I literally have no idea.
Well, anyway.
I know OWLs is ordinary wizarding levels.
Yes.
Exams.
Yes.
So NEWTs are
NEWTs are the next level.
next level wizarding
a
level.
nastily exhausting wizarding test.
Is that really it?
Yeah.
Oh, Rowling. That's ridiculous.
Well, it's a children's book.
Well, that's true. Well, I don't know. At this
Well,
point,
it's leveled
It's a
up.
YA. Okay, so what would you go for your NEWTs in? What do you feel comfortable in? What do you think you can score a high score on? I'll go first. History and magic. Got you. I got you
Easily.
in the bag.
Well, we kind of talked about this before. At one point, we kind of drafted like our Hogwarts schedule, like what extracurriculars would we take, and I think that I would probably be really into like herbology. Like I think I'd be good at it, and it'd be like therapeutic. I'd want to be good at potions,
Talk
but
about
I
that reefer,
wouldn't
y'all.
be.
Girl!
I think, I don't know, herbology and like probably some like I want to be good at what's Trelawney teach?
Divination.
I want to be good at that.
Yeah. I think I would pick potions,
Mm-hmm.
because that I feel like potions do a lot of damage, but they also do a lot of good.
And it's hard.
It's
Yeah,
hard.
it's difficult.
And transfiguration.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
Because that would just be so fucking cool. Like, I would totally be a cat.
Oh,
Charms.
Charms also
Charms would be
fascinating.
fun because
Charms
it's kind
gets
of basic
overlooked.
but very useful.
Oh, yeah.
Which is me.
I mean, I hesitate to point this out, but you both forgot to mention that you're naturals at Muggle Studies.
Oh.
You heard me.
Well,
You heard me.
after this break, Mick won't be joining us because he'll be dead.
Oh, I guess it'll be bitch in the bitch.
It'll just, we're going to actually title it just bitches.
No, y'all would be horrible at Muggle studies.
Thank you.
Is that a compliment? There's really no way
it's
out.
not, because it's like we're bad at school, but also we're cool.
Honestly, I checked out like 2 minutes.
Okay. So this is a great question. Listeners, if you know what you would like to study at Hogwarts or what would be your area of concentration for your newts, please let us know. And while you're on the interwebs telling us that, be sure to follow us on all of our social medias. We're at Beauty and the Bitch, at B&B Cast on the gram. You can check us out on our YouTube channel.
Woo woo, Let's Queer Witcher 3 every Tuesday and Thursday coming at you. Hilarious.
I'm just the hype woman, but for real, subscribe
Appreciate
to that
that.
shit. And while you're on there, subscribe to Literary Darlings and check out me personally on the gram at Morganized Mess and at my website, morganizedmess.com. Ashley, where can these babies learn more about you?
You can find me on the gram. And you can find me on Twitter. Handle is the same. It's lifestyledxash. And I will be waiting for all of your thoughts and opinions. And I expect those likes because this is 2018 and I'm having anxiety.
Go give that baby some love, y'all. And we'll catch you next week on part 2 of our Half-Blood Prince discussion.
Ha 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 ha.
These fucking ass muggles. Somebody save me from these muggles.
You're done.
Do you have a home? Beauty in the Bitch.
You
You look.
bitch.
Bitch, Beauty in the Bitch.
Beauty in the bitch.
Bitch.